I waited a little while before making this video because I just needed a few days to process. Last week, Bernie Sanders officially suspended his campaign for president. And like many, I've had a lot of different and intense emotions in the past couple of days. Bernie's campaign was and is about more than just one person. It's about a fundamental shift in our economy, our political system, our country, and our culture into one that centers the struggles of the working class and historically marginalized communities, into one that doesn't rob from the future to appease rich and powerful people in the present. And though this past week has been hard, our movement marches on. So with that, as a proud city councilor who will forever know that I made the right decision to endorse you, as an organizer with Rhode Island's local Sunrise Movement Hub and 350 affiliated group, and as a committed volunteer for your campaign, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Bernie Sanders. Thank you for catalyzing and fanning the flames of a diverse movement of working class people, a political revolution that it's always been clear is bigger than just one person, bigger than just one election. Thank you for fighting for us, for a better present, and for a livable future in the face of the existential threat of the climate crisis. Thank you for inspiring so many people to rise up, to demand better lives for themselves, and to fight for someone they don't know. And thank you for inspiring a generation of young people willing to organize and protest for the livability of our future. And thank you for inspiring me to finally act on those feelings of love, solidarity, and hope, to become an organizer and activist and to run for office. Thank you, Bernie, for running twice as the strongest potential candidate against the disastrous presidency of Donald Trump, and with a bold set of ideas that would actually begin to heal the broken political and economic system that made his presidency possible. And thank you for dedicating your life to this cause and for working side by side with people-powered social movements like Sunrise to move the needle so much that the ideas of a Green New Deal, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, and so many others have become mainstream political conversations in our country in 2020. Thank you, Bernie, and thanks to all of the movement's leaders, directors, organizers, surrogates, elected officials, and volunteers for carrying a torch whose flame was lit long ago and will continue to burn brightly long into the future. Thank you, Bernie Sanders, for even now working to ensure that one of the most progressive and working class-oriented Democratic administrations in my life will be sworn into the White House next January. And thank you, Bernie Sanders, for spending your entire life, as the old saying goes, planting trees whose shade you know you'll never sit in. When I'm your age, living in a democracy and a global climate that are worn but still intact, and I look back on this period as the moment where we finally found the political and cultural will to take on the billionaires, transform the economy, and avoid the most disastrous effects of climate change, fascism, and economic inequality. You will be among the people I thank for changing the course of history. Now, a lot of us are asking, where do we go from here? Well, I'll tell you one thing, our movement isn't going anywhere. It's just as strong as it was 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and 2 years ago. First off, Bernie is still on the ballot in a bunch of states whose primaries haven't happened yet. And by voting for him in the primary and voting for his committed delegates, of which I am one, on that same ballot, we can make sure that the outcome of this summer's convention is the best possible in terms of party platform. And beyond that, our Not Me, Us movement right now is in the form of thousands of congressional, state, and local candidates who share the values that Bernie represents, who are up for election or re-election this year and need our movement to show up and help. And it looks like countless activist groups who are fighting from outside the government for economic justice, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice, and climate justice. There's a lot of work to do, so let's go fight for someone we don't know.